Join us at Glossy's Beauty and Wellness Summit from November 11th through 13th in Napa, California. Influential beauty and wellness leaders will meet to discuss strategies and pain points, discover innovative tech, and ultimately make valuable business connections through one-on-ones and casual networking. For a limited time, we're offering $200 off with promo code GBS24, no spaces. Again, that's GBS24 with no spaces. Go to glossy.co/beauty summit for more information and to secure your pass today. Thanks for tuning in to the Glossy Podcast. I'm your host, Jill Manoff, and today I'm sitting down with Alexandre Assouline, the Chief of Operations, Brand, and Strategy at Assouline, the publishing house turned luxury lifestyle brand that is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. Largely driven by Alexandre, Assouline is in growth mode, rolling out new product categories and services, expanding its physical footprint, and introducing new digital products, including a digital magazine and podcast. I wanted to ask Alexandre about his priorities for the company, which was founded by his parents in Paris in 1994. I also wanted to get his take on the definition of luxury and whether the market's current issues are disrupting Assouline's plans to redefine publishing as a luxury experience. Welcome to you, Alexandre.
Thank you, Jill. I'm very, very excited to be here today with you. I've been a long-time fan of your podcast, so happy to be part of it today.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. I want to jump off with talking about really the library as luxury, which I know that is something that you are really forming, crafting. You're putting this idea on the map. You know, there are shelfies on Instagram these days. The bookshelf and coffee table books are almost a status symbol or a form of self-expression. Like, books have gone far beyond one's own entertainment and amusement. Tell me about the potential here for the library in the luxury space and, I don't know, decor? Like, where do you see this? What is the role?
So library is really at the forefront of everything we do. We really aim to own the library space as a luxury brand. It's around you in your life every day as well, you know? Like, it tells a lot about yourself. When someone passes and sees your library, it can really identify you in a few minutes, right? Seeing what are your areas of interest, how you put books together in terms of organization, in terms of colors. It's the books and the thematics that you actually love and purchase for that, but also the ones that are being gifted to you and by your friends as well, you know, that know you very dearly. So something that's very important for someone, I would say, because it's a place of creativity as well and inspiration. So for us, yes, we've been in business, I would say, as a family for 30 years. This is 30th year of the brand this year. And it's a big milestone for us. So lots of things that we've been developing around the library. And again, we'll discuss a little bit further about this later, about all the new product categories that we've been launching and digital media and so on. But books have been in the forefront of our everyday lives. We launch about 100 books every year, new books. And it's all about culture and luxury, right? I'd like to say that we're storytellers, especially of the luxury world, right? We cover a lot of luxury brands to celebrate their heritage and shine lights on a specific part of a country, for example, and culture, or work with interior designers and chefs and so on all around the world. So it's very interesting for us to cover that, to tell these stories, to learn every day as well, and to package them in a luxury way through our covers and our beautiful layouts as well for our audience.
Yes. And am I just noticing a large number of books that are focused on fashion designers, fashion brands, because I'm in fashion? Or is that a large majority of your collection? And is that because there's demand? Or where does fashion fit into the mix?
I think it really started with fashion. The first collection was the Memoir collection, and the company my parents founded. So just a little bit of history around that. My father was in advertising and my mother in communication, working for Rochas. And they love fashion, but also traveling and so on. And just they decided to create their first book on a beautiful hotel in the south of France called La Colombe d'Or, out of passion. They absolutely loved, that place. And just they wanted to celebrate it somehow So he took the pictures and she wrote the text, and this is how it happened. And then they started to do books here and there for their friends, like Asdin Alaya, and who had a fashion brand, and then Serge Lutens, who had a perfume brand. So this really happened like that. And after that, they wanted to really tell stories about brands because with a point of view. And this is what they started to do and became very successful. So fashion brands was really at the forefront of the beginning and instigation of the brand in the beginning. So it still became, part of our everyday lives in terms of stories that we tell. We were acclaimed to be the number one publisher on fashion at some point. So we were doing a lot of fashion books. Now it's just a little bit more about culture in general. So again, we do a lot of travel books. We do a lot of design and architecture books too. But it's still very important because the way we treat a subject and the way we treat fashion in general always comes with that certain point of view and that certain photographic angle that we come to it. For example, we did a big collection on Dior and on all of its big fashion designers. I mean, the 7 important ones over the years. And we created all the imagery for that. And we had someone go to the studio. And I remember, going to the studio and see the couturière at the time, opening the boxes never seen before from the 50s and started to cry. It was wonderful.
Amazing.
And the photographer was just taken in a special setting. And that became, very impactful in terms of imagery through that. So we know how to treat a subject. That's what I'm saying. And fashion is very interesting to play with on this because you have the ads of fashion that are very well known and you see them all around with models, but taking it with just like a still life imagery is very interesting as well, and would love to do that.
Yes. Do you think of a fashion book almost like we talk about like buying into a brand? Like we talk about the Gucci socks that are $90 and people just want a piece of the brand and people are buying those socks just to wear Gucci and they can't afford the bag yet. I would almost think, I've never thought of it this way, but I would think that a book offers the same type of like connection to the brand for maybe somebody that's more aspirational.
It absolutely does. And also, it brings that content aspect. So you can learn so much more about the brand and have more of that emotional connection with the brand through that. So of course, most of the time it's on your coffee table or on your shelf, but that still bring that connection to the brand because you see it every day. And yes, that the Chanel slipcase book, for example, that we did and was a very bestseller for about 10 years for us.
Wow.
That was very important. And that becomes, one of the essentials, I would say, for the aspiring, fashionista in a sense.
Yes, because every brand is all about storytelling now. Does every brand like play nice and they want to give you any interview and talk to you and help you with this book? How would you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, I speak a lot with brands these days just to create a tome together, a title and celebrate it together, launch it together, bring more of that content to the table that we come with that point of view again. So it's always very important for brands to have that, fully agree on that and more. And again, we treat the subjects well. So the past 4 or 5 years have been very important in terms of meetings with brand and seeing what we can do together to enhance that cultural storytelling and their impact as well, right?
For sure. Well, you joined the business. Your parents started the business. Tell me about like at what point during the 30-year trajectory you came in, and prior, was it your parents, they established the company as a book publisher, well-respected, and maybe you came in and started to build this world around it with books and more, or was that already in place? And anyway, start there.
So I came in, I think, the first time they came in, because their first office was in my bedroom when I was just a little child. So my mom could take care of me and still, be passionate about this development of this business that they were building. And over the years, I spent so much time with them, of course, but following them around and going to Venice at the Biennale and just being like super interested about, art or design. And that was always in perspective to do a book, right? Or going to, Italy for a specific thing. And again, the orientation was to do a book. Or at home as well, when, you had people coming for dinner, I was always, coming by and just, saying hello and so on. And so I've been very immersed, I would say, in the company since a very young age. I remember even at 10 years old, we were doing our first branded corner, which was the first thing, or we're showing the brand as a whole, as a full experience, where it was at Bird of Goodman. I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I was here helping set up and so on in New York. It was amazing at the time. But when I really entered the business the first time was after school. So I was sent to a few universities to learn about graphic design and then to learn about marketing and then finance and so on. So I was, heavy on study, which was fantastic as well because enables me to see a company as 360. And so I started as a graphic designer. So, I was starting to make the books, and then I was sent for a few months to work at the printer in Italy and to really understand the foundation of ink on paper and then the silk cover, how they were, mounted and so on. So that was super interesting at the time. And after I was sent to London as well to launch a store, our flagship store, Maison Assouline in London, which has a bar as well. That's fantastic. And again, everything about the brand. And, we curate the music and we create the smell and the whole experience when you come in, and we sell vintage objects and so on. It's a beautiful store in Piccadilly. And then I went on to work in consulting outside of the company because I wanted to try it somewhere else to be more structured with reporting to other people and so on. So it was an amazing experience. I did it for a year and then came back to the company and took over the digital department, created a marketing department, and took over the wholesale department and then retail and so on. So little by little, I took over, each department and structured it in a way for growth, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing journey to today for this past 30 years with my parents. We're working together every day in the same office and with the same direction and the same belief about the brand as well, and surrounded by culture, which is really fantastic.
Yeah.
And an amazing team.
Yes. Well, I was going to ask if there was ever any question whether or not you were going to join the family business, but it seems like, you explored other things, but you came right back.
Right. It came organically.
Yeah.
It was not mandatory, that I joined the business, but we complement each other very well. Prosper is in charge of all creative. Martin is in charge of all editorial, and I'm in charge of all business and development, and of course, reporting to them directly.
Yes.
So it's a fantastic journey, and we love what we do every day. Again, we learn from different topics and meetings and relationships every day. And I wouldn't trade that for anything else.
Yes. Well, you mentioned one of your stores, and I know you have several. Tell me about the role of the store in the company and the importance of that, like, direct connection with a customer as opposed to, Amazon started as a book dealer. Like, I'm sure a lot of books are still being sold on Amazon. So why get in there?
So it's something that was very important. Again, when I took over the distribution, is that we had this big direction and belief that started again, when we opened at Barrel of Goodman to develop that brand. It's exactly that, right? We're taking that direction of we're not a publisher, we're a lifestyle brand. And we need to show that through different touch points. We stopped totally on the distribution side. 4 years ago, we stopped working with distributors. So not book distributors. So we own totally our distribution. So we can control if a retailer has our products, but the one next door doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that's very important for brand development and for us in general, to be able to elevate the brand, elevate the products, elevate the distribution. So opening stores is the most important side for that, right? It's because you control fully the environment, you control fully the experience that you're having with your customers, and you can really understand them, what they're looking for, and, give them first access and so on. So we really stopped going from just being working with distributors and at Barnes and Nobles and so on to really focusing on opening branded corners. So it's shop in shops all around the world, and we'll have 30 at the end of this year. And boutiques all around the world, which will have 20 at the end of this year. They vary in size, of course. We're opening in November in Riyadh, a big store. It's similar to the Maison in London, which is 6,000 square feet. Riyadh is going to be 10,000 square feet with a restaurant, 400 seats. So something very important, so we can really showcase the whole experience. We sell our books, of course. We sell vintage objects and then our own objects, third-party objects sometimes. And again, control that experience. So it's important, but also it gives us a platform to launch our own titles. Because again, we have 100 books, different books coming out every year. They still have, different, let's say, priorities in a sense, but they still deserve to have their own life. They still deserve to be launched in a certain way. and celebrate it. So this is something very important for us to be able to have these touch points with customers, to be able also to launch these books in a certain way and control all that. So, yeah.
Yes. Does that launch celebration look like? At times, it could be a book signing or it could be a cocktail party, or what does that look like?
So it could be a book signing. Just a few weeks ago, it was in early September, we launched a book with Roger Federer, for example, and we had, hundreds of people lining up around the block for a book signing. So that was really fun and a great success. So very proud of that. But also, yes, it could be just a cocktail celebration when we work with a country or government or just a well-acclaimed chef, for example, and we want our customers and just audience to experience that, to be more immersed in that project. So we're going to control, the visuals are going to be all around and then show videos and so on. And that's not going to be more sales focused, but it's just more promotional.
Yes, that makes good sense. And your retail partners that you do have, I would assume they are luxury retailers. Maybe you sell some through like a Bergdorf or something.
Absolutely. So we're on the 7th floor at Bergdorf Goodman, we're at Neiman Marcus. We are in concept stores all around, in Dallas, we're at 4510, for example. So yes. And the important thing is that we're global as well. We're present in every country. We're now developing more in the Asia Pacific region, developing more in Japan and so on. So the important is that we're global. And so we work with department stores. We work with fashion boutiques as well. We work with concept stores. But the important piece as well is that we're trying to develop as much as possible that branded aspect. So to be able to have a branded wall with our logo and to be able to experience the brand in a certain way. And then we work with interior designers as well, which is very important, and corporate gifting.
Nice. What percentage are you selling through your own channels, your website or your stores?
Today it's about 45%. So still very important. We're developing that more and more.
Hi, I'm Jill Manoff, the editor-in-chief at Glossy. For nearly 20 years, I've been covering the beauty and fashion industries. With the landscape evolving so rapidly, especially with innovations like AI, staying informed is more crucial than ever. At Glossy, we pride ourselves on delivering well-researched, premium content vetted by our journalists who themselves are industry experts. Our goal is to empower you with the knowledge to make strategic, real-time decisions for your team. If you'd like to subscribe to Glossy Plus to support the work we do, you can go to glossy.co/subscribe. Members receive exclusive access to in-depth research and weekly briefings covering what's happening in fashion, luxury, beauty, and wellness, as well as case studies, invites to member-only events, and so much more. Thank you for being part of our community. I read that you grew your staff. I think it's since you came on board, like from 34 people to 150, maybe more now. But tell me where most of that hiring is taking place. Who's coming on board?
The growth has been really, really exciting for the past few years. I took that position that I am now in 2020, 2021, I would say. So yeah, leading that development has been exciting and fun. So we grew a lot the office in New York. We opened as well in Paris, a smaller outpost, more of a relay, I would say, in operational and commercial for Asia, Middle East, and Europe. But the real core is in New York, our headquarters. So we have 100 people here, and it's segmented into, I think, like 15 departments, right? We're not just a traditional with, retail, wholesale, e-commerce, and then products. We have seen a lot of growth in that product development as well area, which I would love to talk to you more about because it's been a big project of mine for the past 3-4 years. But also interior design, because we're launching our all interior design studio to develop libraries for people. I started that really in 2018, but wanted to take a pause, I would say, to really launch this as a bigger scale internationally. And we're doing that just in the next few months again. But the product development has been very important. Again, the scale of the company has grown. So we had to bring more and more people in each of the departments and develop new departments from that too. But so the product development has been developing home fragrance and objects too. So home fragrance is important because it's part of your library, right?
Yes.
It comes back to the sense of owning the library as a brand. And home fragrance is part of your everyday life at home as well. And what we wanted to do at the beginning was to launch that travel series that has been very popular for us in the past 5 years, I would say. We have about 50 titles for now, and launching 10 more every year. So around one a month. I'm sure you've seen some of these titles, very bright colors with a symbol. The symbols is actually Martine, my mother, that draws them, hand draws all of them.
Oh, how great.
We're very, very implicated into every stage of the process. So
is there one, before you go on, is there one that's most popular? I feel like I have it in my head what I think the location that's most popular
is.
is.
I think Ibiza and Capri were the first ones, and they've been really bestsellers ever since, every year. So
no doubt.
Really wonderful ones. And
I should have guessed. I was going to be right.
But we do them really with our, with a lot of emotion. All books are a mix of intellect and emotion. And this is how we try to bring to people and bring inspiration from that. But yeah, if you look at this travel series, you can find me in most of them. Like, nice. Waldo. Because, we travel in these locations a lot, and we need to understand really the spirit and the essence of the location to become that storyteller, right? So there's a lot of images that we take as well that, we put in these books too. So the first thing that we wanted to do with Home Fragrance is tell the story of the travel series in another medium, just to get you fully immersed into that. So imagine yourself opening the book, at home and flipping through the pages, and then, smelling the sense of that destination as well. We also created playlists on Spotify for each of these titles that we do candles for.
Oh,
so
fun.
that was very fun as a first project. And that really reassured, me that I wanted to do more. And in really creating that lifestyle brand, developing that lifestyle brand, and not just being a publishing house. We'll keep books absolutely at the core of what we do, being storyteller, working on culture and luxury. But these new developments are very important, I think, to have better, stronger touch points with customers too, and help explain, the entire brand and how we operate. So I think the travel series has been great. We're doing now new adaptation with diffusers and so on, and then bigger sizes and new scents as well. There's one on Tuscany coming out soon, which I'm super excited about. We've been working with this nose, Jérôme Epinette, in New York from Roberte, and the process has been fantastic. We're just looking at books together and being inspired that, like, okay, we want to do this. Close your eyes and what do you see, and so on about this location. And he really helped capture really the essence of what we want to do. It's not just, oh, you're in Capri and you smell like lemon, right? It's really having that point of view that we can bring to the table through our books, but also now through other mediums. So that's that. And now we're launching another scents collection, which you'll see in a few months, I hope, that I've been working on for 3-4 years.
Is it beyond home fragrance and maybe it's personal fragrance?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's an ambition probably in the future, but again, need to find the right angle of what we want to do on that, because if we do just every destination of travel, that's not the direction, but more, towards the library, right? Again, it comes back to owning the library as a brand. So the library space. So that's going to be exciting. And I'm sure you're going to love it.
Great.
And then the objects as well. This is something that I've been developing for the past 2 years. It's to tell more that story of library with library accessories. So bookends and book stands and magnifying glass and a hourglass and trinket boxes and a frame and a vase and so on. And with rich material that are really ones that we like to play with every day. And a lot of red that you'll see as well, because red is our signature color. All our shopping bags are like that. We launched our red Pantone color this year. So it's very much a presence in our everyday lives. But yeah, everything's launching in March and you'll love it. That's all I have to say.
I can't wait. Is March still your 30th anniversary year?
No, 30 years was really to show. No, it was. I didn't want to shine more lights on that. It's 30 years was really to show the heritage of the brand, and then to show our direction for the future, the next 10 years. And this is what we showed. We had some articles come out and so on, and really, as we talk about it, this is where we're going as a brand. We're going on the positioning more luxury. We're going more culture, right? Culture is very important for us. And again, all this lifestyle component's going to be great. We also launched actually a digital magazine and a podcast.
Are you the host? You're the host.
I am the host. You'll hear my accent even more.
Yay.
No, I've been very, inspired by podcasts over the years. I've listened to yours a lot. So you've been a big source of inspiration too.
Hearts.
But yeah, we're launching a digital magazine, which is very exciting, right? It's creating content at the center of culture and luxury. It's a platform as well for us to host our content, right? Because when we have events, we'll have event coverage and images and so on. When we'll have a segment that I launched a few years ago called Beyond the Cover, which is shining light on the author or the person that we're doing the book about. Is not just, a beautiful book, a beautiful cover. It's really what's the behind the scenes of what we've created together. That's exciting. We're launching, a segment called The Decisive Moment. It was the moment that set artists on their career path. Like the sommelier's their first wine bottle, or just even Martin's, first a vintage book that she loved and that inspired her to do the book. We're launching city guides. I just did one a few weeks ago on New York when we launched a few weeks ago. And, Mariza's Berenson's Marrakesh, or like interviews with artists on their creative process. So like the person launching designing the objects with us, or the nose as well. So all this of the digital magazine is going to be called Culture Lounge.
Nice. And this is live, or this is still to come, March time frame?
So a few weeks ago.
Okay.
It launched September 10th.
This is exciting.
For our 30 years, exactly that date. This is super exciting. And there's going to be a lot more segments happening. And we're going to launch new content every week as well. It's not news, but it's interviews as well. And yeah.
Is it cheesy? Because I think it would be amazing to have a high profile folks talk about what books are on their shelf, and for you to launch e-commerce around some of these stories. Because I bought a book from Cherish, the site Cherish, because it was like Courtney Cox's closet. I don't know. She was selling things from her home. I bought a book from Courtney Cox's home.
we will absolutely do that.
Write it down. Write it down.
I told you, inspiration all the way.
Yes. I have to ask, I am so fascinated. I think it's amazing. Your curated library service. So you're working with clients to design bespoke libraries. Like, who are some of these customers? Like, what type of person, who is the shopper that is asking you, coming to you for a curated library? It's so smart. I think it's amazing.
So it really started in 2018, as I mentioned, when I started with the company really in 2014 and 2016, as I mentioned. But in 2018, I was just looking through my father's old archive, and I saw drawings of libraries, and I was super excited to see that. And it's not something that really launched, but it was very inspiring. And I guess 2 weeks later, I was at lunch with a few people, and one was a real estate developer from Naftali Group in New York, and was doing a beautiful new building. And we just met, and she had a room that she was thinking of doing a library, and I was there, and I was like, let me try it on. So it was a fantastic experience, because I got to dip my toes in design as well, be more excited about that, and then just curate, a few books and objects and everything for a space that was supposed to be, that was impactful for people. It's a place for them to unwind and looking for, that spark of inspiration or creativity and so on. And that did the job. So that was great. And then we got a lot of press around it. So started to work with real estate developers to develop a library as amenities in buildings. So I've done, lots of buildings on 57th Street in New York, for example, and then some in San Francisco and Los Angeles and so on. So mostly US based, but yeah, mostly hotels and amenities for luxury condos building.
Nice.
That was the beginning. And now I took a pause to launch it for private clients as well. So I already have, a good list of people that are very, very interested in that, for their new summer home in the south of France, or, a big library and house in Southeast Asia or the Middle East already. So very interesting to see that. But again, now we move from product to services. So it's a bit more delicate. We need to just come in with the right contractors and mill workers and so on to develop these spaces. So it's not just about curating books on a shelf. And we put, third-party books as well from other publishers that I put there because I haven't done everything, right? And every topic. Yeah. So I'd really need to do a big consultation with the client and understand what are they interested about. And again, that comes back to what I told you at the very beginning, where it's a reflection of yourself as well. And so I need to understand them. I need to understand who they are, what they like, what's going to spark that creativity somehow. So objects, books, and so on. But now we're moving into more than that. So again, doing the shelves with mill workers, curating the carpet and the coffee table and so on, that just happens in your library and even a desk at this point. So we wouldn't do it ourselves, maybe in the future. But for now, it's going to be curating and sourcing beautiful objects and furniture.
It's just so fun. Well, I think the pandemic probably served you well. In the end, it's not a good thing for anyone, but in terms of people paying attention to their home, people wanting to learn more about all things that they're buying into, books are hot. But tell me about anything that is either something that's challenging you now or you're trying so much and I feel like 30 years in, you probably know your customer like the back of your hand or your shopper, but anything that you've recently tried or rolled out that maybe didn't stick and maybe you've pulled back on it and refocused.
So challenges, just in general, the COVID time made us evolve a lot. Yes, because people were focusing more on their homes for sure, but also us as a family, it helped us reflect and redefine a lot our strategies and what we wanted to do. And, not getting so much in the keep going and try to catch the next project and so on. We had to take a pause and to understand where were we going, what were really our foundations and essentials of that brand development. So that time helped us a lot as a company and as a family. And again, amazing team in New York and internationally that are really devoted to the brand and doing sensational work. So everyone's really part of the family and that helped a lot. So on the challenging side, working as a family is not always easy because we always have our opinion and so on, but it's at the same time something that's fantastic and you learn from each other and each other's point of view every day, right? This is something that you learn how to compromise, you learn how to develop things together and seeing the point of view of someone that you don't really see when you're by yourself. So this is something that has been very important, I think, for me and for us and made me evolve fast track, right? But in terms of challenges, yes, you always have challenges when you launch new products. This new product category of the candles, for example, I would have done a few things very differently when I reflect right now. We launched that last year or a year and a half ago. I think it's selection of the right ways, the right partners, the right wick that you need to put on it, and then the right wax that you put on the vessel and the packaging and so on. So now I can tell you I became an expert into all this. But again, it's exciting to develop new product lines. It's also very challenging and scary, right? Yeah. Because you're known for a certain product that works very well. And now when you try something new, you're showing the customers that you can't fail, right? You need to show, okay, you trust me, you should trust you. If you trust me, you should see that product and you'll love it. And if you don't, there's a bit of a bridge that starts developing into that. I think we've done really well with the candles. I'm really happy with that development. Again, I keep adjusting it now for the next, batch and the next new scents and so on to refine them, to make them even more luxe and making them even more qualitative and so on. But I think that, the challenge is when you're by yourself, because I didn't take, a big head of that new product development, because I like to be part of every project. I like to be, it's a family business in the end. And we like to be receptive to, every comment and like to be involved at every steps of the process. So that would be that. But again, it's a challenge, but also, an amazing opportunity for development. And the objects, same thing. But I learned from that and made them even better and push the launch, by 6 more months to really be sure that it's going to be phenomenal when it's in stores.
Your company, your rules, you can push that launch. Yes.
It's a big luxury these days.
Yes. Tell me about just your long-term vision for the company. You talked about owning the library, its lifestyle, any areas beyond what we talked about that you really want to get in there.
Jill, there's so many opportunities for us. And, I'm not going to say it enough, but we're a company about luxury culture. And there's so many other things we can do as storytelling, right? The different mediums that we can have through, the magazine, for example, that I mentioned. But again, we're launching a podcast as well, as I mentioned, again, as a conversation piece between two people that are in our circles that are for different themes, right? And this is supposed to bring inspiration and passion and knowledge of something new as well. You'll get to see it. It's absolutely a fantastic project that I've been working on. Working on a segment on watches and having, the head of watches at Sotheby's, and then Mike Nouveau, who's an amazing TikToker as well, to talk about watches and auctions and fantastic finds, and then fashion, working with Linda Fargo from Bergdorf Goodman and Alina Cho, who's an amazing journalist as well, about fashion and yes, how that impacts culture today. So all this of digital media is important for us for that touch points. More boutiques is important for our touch points in key areas as well, right? We have 4 in New York right now, and different, for different segments and demographics and so on. We just opened in Mexico City. We just opened in Houston. Now we're opening a bigger space in Paris as well, because it's the birthplace of the brand. And then I told you about Riyadh and so on. So this is important for the development of our brand in terms of visibility as well, but in terms of impact for that storytelling. But again, as storytelling, doing documentaries and videos and so on, it's something that is not crazy, right? When we spend about a year on average to create a new title, we can do so much more in tandem with that. So this might be something we look after in the next few years. Hospitality might be something that we look in a few years. As I told you, we have a bar in London and a big restaurant as well opening in Riyadh, and then we have a cafe right now in Madison that we opened as a pop-up in New York. So this kind of hospitality might be another area, but again, we need to recenter ourselves on owning the library, right? Office, library is in the same circle. Living room might be, part of like the adjacencies, but we're not going to dip our toes in the bedroom or in the kitchen or something. We really want to stay true to where we are, stay true to ourselves in that brand that we have and we love so much. But, furniture might be something as well in the future. But for now, in the next 5 years, it's really focusing on the home fragrance and objects, which have done a phenomenal start, which there's something else that we're really, really launching more globally. And I told you that we're doing that in London before, is the vintage objects. So we're going to start curating vintage objects in all of our stores that you'll be able to find from all around the world, that we source from all around the world, with all information, provenance, and so on. But again, has a direct connection with culture as well. So exciting. And the big things is, again, the important book launches that we're looking to launch over the next 2 years. We're going more luxe and crazy in packaging, as we've done over the past few years, but we're really pushing the boundaries in that aspect of product.
Fantastic. Your digital publication has me geeking out. And you mentioned Sotheby's, and they just launched a print publication, and I think that I would subscribe to yours. Any interest in print?
Full interest in print, as you saw the brand.
With your books.
For now, as there's a digital magazine, we try to bring something very separate, where you consume the content on that, rather than having a luxury piece of home decor with content. So for now, we're keeping it separate. Maybe we'll look into making a yearly, compendium of the top articles. But for now, we keep it this way. And the name of the magazine, which was actually going to be the name of the podcast as well, is going to be Culture Lounge.
Right on. Well, for those listening, you heard this podcast. You can listen to Alexandre on his own podcast now that it's live. Alexandre from Assouline. Say it 5 times. I still never got it right. But anyway, thank you for being here. This was so fantastic. Love chatting with you.
Thank you, Jill. Thanks so much.
That's all for this episode. Our theme music is by Otis McDonald. Be sure to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to the Glossy Podcast. See you next week.